My relationship surrounding sex has been anchored in these extremely low vibrations of shame and fear and self-doubt. Hey, it's Sebastian. This is things I've been thinking about. This is a somewhat controversial subject. Honestly, I'm still contemplating, I'm still processing, but I'm finding it extremely powerful. I talk a little bit about it on my podcast, but I wanted to explore it further. And it's the subject of sex energy and its inherent power. Creative power, because it creates life, obviously, but harnessing that same creative force and turning it into energy that we can then use to transform our lives. Harness it by using it differently. Instead of releasing it through the body, which I think we're all a fan of, redirecting it and pulling it up into our minds, into our consciousness, and using it to create new ideas and unleash new potential. That's what I'm talking about. It sounds very Sting and Trudy and tantric and mystical and weird, right? Especially because we're programmed to, in many ways, stigmatize sex. We're taught that sex is this dark force, and by dark I mean absent of light, that is shameful when it is used outside of this limited scope of procreation between a man and a woman. That leaves a lot of humans out. And for queer culture, we've been dealing with sexual oppression since the dawn of time. And I feel like my relationship surrounding sex has been anchored in these extremely low vibrations of shame and fear and self-doubt that were programmed in my subconscious ever since I could comprehend what sex was, what my sexuality meant, and how it was perceived by the world. I was introduced to this subject while I was reading Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. There's an entire chapter on the mystery of sex transmutation. He calls sex energy the most powerful of all human desire, and I would not disagree with that. Let's think about our state of mind when we're in the pursuit of sex, when we're on the hunt. We become extremely focused and incredibly courageous. We tap into our creative imagination. We use our powers of seduction, our charm, our keen awareness. Everything becomes incredibly heightened. Sometimes we feel invincible or unstoppable, so confident, so self-assured. Now imagine taking that same energy with all those same incredible attributes and redirecting it to create the lives that we want. So I've been single for a little over 3 years now, and I'm doing great. Me and me are very happy together. Thank you for asking. And I've been celibate for nearly a year now. I just got to this point in my life where sex had become this thing that was happening outside of myself. It had become solely about what I was experiencing externally and what I was experiencing visually, and just sort of getting to the climax. Before I started dabbling in celibacy, I had what I now like to refer to as oh shit moments. I was on a hookup app. This was shortly after I became single, so like a little over 3 years ago. And I was looking at my headless, torsoed profile pic, and suddenly it hit me. Why am I hiding? It was 2017. I was single, and this is what people did. This is how people met. It was a completely acceptable form of socializing. So why was I hiding? Why was I hiding? I mean, it was all centered around shame and sex being something that was supposed to be done in the shadows, and it was also anchored in fear surrounding my acting career, which was really not real. I had just gotten dropped from my agent for the first time in my life, so it suddenly, that was a moot point. It was just, there wasn't anything that is. So I thought about it, and I swapped out my headless torso pic for a headed torso pic, and published. And something so seemingly insignificant carried a huge impact. It was freedom. Shortly after that, I ended up taking my profile offline because my ideas surrounding sex were changing. That's around the time I started to examine my relationship with sex in an honest, truthful, unjudgmental way. And I realized that sex had sort of lost its meaning. There was detachment. I was detached from sex. That's when I had my first bout of celibacy in 2018 for about 5 months. And then in early 2019, I decided to reintegrate sex back into my life. And so I was dating this guy. We went on 4 or 5 dates before we got naked. And honestly, I could have waited longer. I wasn't really ready, but then my pants were around my ankles and it was just much harder to resist. Am I right, fellas? Ladies, you feel me? So at the end of 2019, I was like, I think I'm gonna get back on that celibacy train. And that's where I've been since January. And the pandemic has definitely helped sort of keep things on track. But I was already 3 months in when all hell broke loose in March. Then in August, something weird happened. I stopped self-pleasuring, which is nuts when you think about it. But I was meditating a lot. I was being extremely creative. So I guess all my energy was just being redirected there. I was unknowingly transmuting sex energy. And then I had another one of those, oh shit moments. It was more like, oh shit. I realized that I was clearing my sex energy. I was clearing out the vibration of sex from those low frequencies of shame and fear and doubt. I had been carrying on a deep level in my subconscious, in my cells, this belief that queer sex was shameful. I had been using sex to validate myself since I was 18. I had been using my sexual relationships and encounters with men to quantify my worthiness as a human being. I had been giving myself away for decades. I had cultivated a reliance on porn and visual stimulation, which only creates more shame, more doubt. Because my state of mind around sex was shifting, my habits and behaviors around sex were changing. Understanding our relationship to sex and our sex energy is an untapped resource that, frankly, we're denying based on ideas that have been handed down to us. Sex energy is powerful and drives us more than we realize, but we have the gift of focus to redirect it if we choose. If we choose. Those old ideas, they don't serve us anymore. Done with those. We've evolved beyond them. And for my queer community, it's time for us to realize why we are, why we exist, why we are here. We are here to move humanity beyond those old templates. We are here to push the boundaries of limitation. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, non-binary, we move humanity forward. We move humanity forward into higher consciousness. Our sexuality isn't a limitation. It's not a limitation, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to move humanity forward. How powerful is that? But okay, yeah, that's all I got. That's it. Yeah. So if you found this insightful or interesting or in any way inspiring, I would love it if you would share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your presence. And thank you for watching and listening. Okay, bye.